Have you ever walked into a room full of people and still felt completely alone? Like you're human, but not quite like everyone else. You think differently. You feel things more deeply. You see things other people don't even notice. And sometimes you wonder, why am I like this? Why don't I fit in like others do? Today, we're diving into the psychology of people who feel different from everyone else. And by the end of this video, you might realize being different isn't a weakness. It might actually be your hidden strength. People who feel different often have deeper internal processing. While others are comfortable with surface-level conversations, small talk, and trends, these individuals are usually asking bigger questions in their minds. Why do people behave the way they do? What's the meaning behind this situation? Why do I feel this emotion so strongly? Psychology links this to high levels of introspection, the habit of constantly examining your own thoughts and feelings. The problem? Most of the world runs on autopilot, but deep thinkers don't. So when you're surrounded by people who don't question things the way you do, it can make you feel like you don't belong, even though you're just operating on a different mental level. If you feel different, chances are you don't just have emotions, you experience them. You don't get slightly sad. You feel a wave of heaviness. You don't just get happy, you feel joy in your chest. You don't just notice someone's pain, you absorb it. Psychologists often connect this with high emotional sensitivity or emotional depth. You pick up on tone changes, facial expressions, unspoken tension in the room. While others move on quickly, you're still processing. And because most people don't feel things this deeply, you might grow up thinking, why am I so sensitive? Why does everything affect me more? But sensitivity isn't weakness. It's emotional awareness turned up to a higher volume. For many people, this feeling didn't start in adulthood. It started early. Maybe you were the quiet kid who observed more than spoke. Maybe you didn't relate to what others your age were interested in. Maybe you preferred thinking, creating, or being alone instead of constant social activity. Psychology shows that early experiences of feeling different can shape your identity. You begin to see yourself as an outsider, even when you're fully capable of connecting with others. Over time, this belief becomes internal. I'm just not like everyone else. And once that idea takes root, you start noticing every moment that confirms it, while ignoring moments that prove you actually do belong somewhere. Here's something most people don't realize. People who feel different usually have strong self-awareness. You notice your own behavior. You analyze your reactions. You question your motives. While others act first and reflect later, if at all, you're constantly running an internal dialogue. Why did I say that? Why did that comment affect me so much? Why do I react differently than others? This level of awareness can make you feel separate, because you're observing life while living it. It's like everyone else is inside the movie, and you're watching it while acting in it at the same time. People who feel different often struggle with one thing most people never question: social expectations. You might wonder, why do people pretend to like each other? Why do we follow trends we don't even enjoy? Why is being normal so important? Instead of blending in automatically, you evaluate everything first. And when something doesn't make sense to you internally, you can't fake it easily. That creates distance. Not because you want to be different, but because authenticity feels more important than fitting in. One of the hardest parts about feeling different is this: you can be surrounded by people and still feel unseen. This happens because your mind and emotions operate on a level that doesn't always match the environment around you. You might laugh, talk, and participate, but inside, there's a quiet thought: no one really knows me. Psychology calls this emotional loneliness, the feeling of not being understood, even when you're not physically alone. And the more complex your inner world is, the harder it becomes to find people who truly relate. Everything that makes you feel different is also connected to powerful psychological strengths. People like this are often highly empathetic, creative and imaginative, independent thinkers, emotionally intelligent, deeply loyal in relationships. Because you know what it feels like to be misunderstood, you try harder to understand others. Because you never fully fit into the crowd, you learn how to stand on your own. Because your mind never stops exploring, you develop perspectives others never reach. The real pain doesn't come from being different. It comes from believing that different means wrong. Society quietly teaches us that blending in equals safety, and standing out equals risk. So when you don't naturally fit the mold, you may grow up thinking something is missing in you. But psychology tells a different story. Progress, creativity, and emotional depth in the world often come from the very people who once felt like outsiders. Different doesn't mean broken. It means you were built for a different role than just following the crowd. Here's something life teaches a little late. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to be understood by the right people. The moment you meet someone who thinks deeply like you, who feels emotions intensely like you, who questions the world like you, that different feeling starts to turn into connection instead of isolation. Suddenly you're not weird. You're not too much. You're not overthinking. You're just finally around people who speak your psychological language. If you've always felt different from everyone else, maybe it's not a flaw in your personality. Maybe it's a sign that you're more aware, more emotionally tuned in, more thoughtful than average. And yes, that path can feel lonely at times, but it's also the path of people who see the world not just as it is, but as it could be. So instead of asking, "Why am I not like everyone else?" try asking, "What is this difference preparing me for?" Because the very traits that once made you feel like you didn't belong might be the ones that help you create a place where you truly do.